Hello and welcome to Season 6 of Business Mentorship, Keepin It Real, introducing corporate leaders who have taken the leap to business owner and participate with their great idea in our guest blog, found on shareyourstories.online. Our guest joins us from Bethesda, Maryland. Laura Di Franco is an Amazon bestselling author with 3 decades of expertise in holistic physical therapy, a third-degree black belt, with 50 plus published books. She's a speaker and the publisher of Brave Healer Productions. Let's find out how Laura is creating space for others to write the words that will change their world. It's my pleasure to welcome and introduce everyone to Laura Di Franco.
Hey, Trish, thanks for having me today. I'm going to have to update that bio, girl, because it's 100 books now.
I thought so. I thought it was 100. And when I copied it over, I thought, it seems like that's a little light, but there you are. Well, congrats on 100 books.
Thank you very much. We had such a great celebration this past May and had some people online helping me celebrate. And it was quite a feat to get to 100. So now,
no kidding.
No
kidding. Now the next milestone. Yeah,
exactly.
So now how does one make that transition from a holistic physical therapist into the publisher of your own production company?
Well, that's a good question. As an incredible 30-year career, I told all my friends and family every day that I loved what I did because I did, helping people feel better in all kinds of ways. But I had always been a writer since before I was a physical therapist. But with my own PT business, I started blogging. I wanted to educate. So I started to write for other people to read. Then I always knew I'd write my own book. I self-published my first one, my second one, and, was building the business. I realized, because people reached out to ask questions, that I could help my fellow healer entrepreneurs do 2 things: write their books and build their business by writing their books. And I started teaching classes. That's the short story. And then it kind of morphed into business number 2. And now I am 100% publishing for my healer friends.
And so that's your target market, right? So your market niche is representing folks who are in the education healing space. Is that correct?
Yeah, holistic health, wellness, and business professionals is how I say it, because we have Brave Business Books as an imprint now, and we have Brave Kids Books as a third imprint for our publishing company. And the business piece was really because, a lot of business professionals doing things a little differently. They're not doing business as usual. They are breaking the mold. And they weren't resonating with healer, but I still wanted to publish those kinds of business books because that's where my 2 places come together to thrive. So so business professionals as well.
Now, tell us about the kid component, because that's a whole other genre. And it's I find it quite amazing to see sometimes the ages of these young folks who pick up a pen or a computer and start to write.
Well, the kid component is cool. That went something like, I've written these things, I've done these books, and I really would like to try my hand at writing a children's story. And I will do a little shout out for our Brave Kids Books director, Kelly Kashula. She's in Paris, and she came to me one day. She saw what I was doing out there for my healer friends. She's like, Laura, what about kids' books? I'm like, okay, tell me more. Like, I could do this if you do it. And so Kelly came on the team, and Brave Kids Books has been thriving, and we're doing some collaborative short stories for kids. And we're also doing solo books for kids. But honestly, it's the same client, because the professionals writing the stories aren't just kids book authors. They are health and wellness professionals. They've got stories to share with kids to teach them things about intuition and things about awareness and, all of the juicy things that if we could learn it as kids, what a life we would have. as an adult, right? So we've got a
Yeah.
little bit of a mission behind who's writing for kids in these books.
Right. And so, you mentioned something that's really interesting to me, and that is, you took a passion and you almost gave it a new life. You took the passion for education and healing, and then you expanded your opportunities by reaching a larger target audience. So, if there was someone in our viewing and listening audience who's hearing your story and saying, okay, well, I too have a book that I would like to share, but I have no idea where I try to make a connection with the right publisher, because we both know that the right publisher is key to success.
For sure. And you should be looking out at the different opportunities. You should be doing some interviews with those people. You should get the good vibe feel from the person's company, mission, systems, the way that they help you publish. Listen, books are legacy work. So if you don't jive with a publisher who really gets yours, go in the other direction,
Right.
because they need to not only believe in you and your work, but have a similar mission. And, your guys' legacy is my legacy. So that's big potato stuff to me. I'm going to talk with you about what that is, and we're going to get together. And that is where you guys have to really decide who you're going to partner with. This is a legacy business partnership, your publisher. If it feels
That,
like a transaction, go in the other direction. If it doesn't feel good, go in the other direction. Keep talking to people.
that's really wonderful advice, because I love how you phrase the connection between the publisher and the author as legacy. Because let's face it, the written word, whether it's digital or whether it's in print or whether it's both, does have a lifespan, right? I mean, it doesn't have an end date.
Right. I mean,
But
think about that for a minute. Like, okay, this isn't just publishing a book.
that's
This
right.
is going to last. It's going to be out there. This is world changing work that you're putting out in the world. So
That's very
yeah,
true.
it's
So
big stuff.
give us a little bit of an indication about copyright, because one of the things, as you know, we do some pre-marketing for the folks that we're going to be interviewing. And I did get a couple DMs from people asking the question about copyright, because I think that's an area that's very confusing for a lot of people. But give us an indication as the publisher of the book. So, I'm the author, you're the publisher. What happens to the copyright? Who owns the copyright on the written word as the years progress?
Oh gosh, so I'm not going to dive too much into legal book agreements with your publishers, but you
Right.
should read them. And as a publisher, I'm going to help you get that out in the world. And I do a lot of work for my authors. Copyright is for the individual. It is listed in the book. Copyright 2025 Trish, right? Your name is going to be in the book under the copyright. And then
Right.
right under that, it's going to say published by Brave Healer Productions. So I think the biggest point here is ask the questions, because there can be differences in the way publishers either print that material in the book or don't. And by the way, you're just making me think of a random nugget to share with you all. A book title can't be copyrighted. So you could choose the best book title. It could have to do with your brand, and you could be like, mine, mine, mine. Nope. You could go on to Amazon and you could find 5 other books with your same book title. You can't copyright a book title, right? So
Interesting.
that was a nugget when I learned it. I'm like, really? Like you can't? Okay. Yeah. And sure enough, you guys can go search and see that there's many,
Mhm.
many books on a title.
Mhm.
And that doesn't matter so much, we still launch that out into the world. The world needs all the unique voices on a topic that it can get. And
That's
that's
so
that
true.
collaborative energy is really how we publish.
That's really great advice, because I think that there is a lot of confusion around ownership of the wonderful ideas that we bring to the table, or that you see that come across your desk. And I love the fact that you're sort of saying we need to have a lot of voices in the same subject matter, right?
I mean, it's also marketing strategy. So when people purchase a book in a particular topic or even the words of the book and they're searching that, and that's a common keyword. You can talk about, SEO for a minute.
Mhm.
Yay for you that you have those words in there and they're coming to find your book as well. Well, they love that topic. They're going to buy all the books in that topic. They want
Sure.
to learn. I know I'm kind of a self-development junkie that way too. I love those books and I read them all and I want the next on the topic.
Sure. So what's in the future for Laura? I mean, you've done clearly you've had one sort of act in your career where you were the holistic physical therapist, and then you've made the transition now into publisher and helping authors get their word out there. Is there something else that's niggling in the background? Do you have something else percolating that you may be able to share with our viewing and listening audience that may be the next step in your business?
I think that we've already dabbled into a place that we call the author's journey, and that is because the experience in our collaborative publishing is way more than a book. And so what I want people to come do with us is journey. I'm a healer at heart and I have a healer community. So I'll give you an example. It's the easiest way to talk about it. We're going to bring some visionary entrepreneurs to the Caribbean and we're going to do some healing and writing and mindset work together. And then
Mhm.
when we come home, we're going to be crafting a book together and masterminding our businesses. The author's journeys where it's more than a book and you never have to be alone. And it's you sit alone at home and you self-publish your solo book maybe, and you feel so like, oh, what's for all my
What's
friends, like,
next?
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And so that's really next for me, is like we're going to be going to the Caribbean in the fall. We're actually going to do an author's journey in Ireland with one of my amazing lead authors, Dr. McBride. And these are phenomenal experiences.
So give us a little bit of the background into a collaborative book, because I mean, as you know, I wrote a collaborative book and was the person who sort of pulled all that together many years before it became vogue. So those who are saying, well, I'm not really sure I could commit to a whole book, but I've got this really great idea and maybe I could do a chapter or two. Is that really what the collab book experience is about? Is each individual writes a chapter?
I mean, that's the one technical small piece of it. Yes. And it is the easy button. Becoming published in an expert collaboration is a way to be published, but it's also a way to be in community with the group of authors. And the world calls these anthologies, but I don't really publish anthologies because even though the stories alone are healing moments for a reader, I have master expert teachers, therapists, coaches, and healers in my community who want to share stories, but they also want to share their master teachings. So, yeah, you come in and you write a chapter under a topic. And this is my mindset about it. There is no one teacher on a topic. If you want to be the guru, well, okay, but that's one voice.
Right.
So, what else is possible here? And I want to bust up the model of publishing to help people understand that collaborative publishing is powerful, community building badassery. And it can be done in a way that isn't just publishing the book with your little chapter. It can be a business builder, a community builder, and a forever thing that has your back in terms of your own dreams and goals. You can tell I get a little excited about this topic because, like, this is why I was born, Trish. Like, I'm convinced. Yeah.
Well, but what I love is that your reference to the fact that, whether you've got 10 people in the club or 20 people, depending on the size and topic of the book, you've also got the credibility of the other individuals that you're being published with on that topic to help push your business forward, correct?
Exactly. I was just telling a group yesterday, as a matter of fact, we were talking about the book launch and upcoming marketing and promotion of this beautiful group of people, like all of these kinds of experts. And I said, I want you guys to be able to have your books, sell your books, gift your books. And do you care What reader is helped by what chapter? Do you care what life is changed it from who in the book? No, of course not. World, have my books, right? And so a
Mm.
group selling the books together, who knows who you're helping, whose business you're helping. You hope it's yours, of course, right? But
Mhm.
do I care that someone's life is changed by one of my colleagues in the book? No, I want that to happen.
For
And
sure.
how amazing is that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And that's why I love the fact that, in some of the material that I was reading, where you were saying it, the words that you write will not only change your world, but someone else's world.
Of course.
And we have no idea who that may be or where that may happen, right?
Definitely. I think sometimes the road for an author can be lonely when you don't have the reach outs telling you that this is happening. But I am here to promise you, if you're listening to this, wondering about who you're helping out there, they may not be connecting, but they are there. They are reading. Their lives are changing and shifting because of your brave words. So don't get out of that mindset that's telling you that no one is seeing my stuff or no one is right. They're out there. And I have powerful stories that proved it to me. I've had experiences where a stranger is reaching out telling me. I'm so lucky that that happened because not all of them are brave enough to reach out to you,
For sure.
author. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get to your 3 words of advice, I was wondering if you could help us understand how you came up with the name of your business, which is Brave Healer Productions.
That's such a great question. I've been asked a couple of times. It forced me to kind of go back and think, how did that come up? Right. And it's been an interesting question also from a standpoint that I've actually had business coaching um, that was guiding me to take the word healer out of it because they thought that that was closing my door in terms of who I could serve. And I remember one point saying, no way, man, like these are the people that I want to serve, right? Um, and for me, the origin of Brave Healer is the idea that the courage comes from the vulnerability. The being brave. All my authors, shout out to you because you took up the challenge I gave you to put your vulnerable story, real story in that book. You have to be a brave kind of healer to tell us that true story and in a way that we can recognize our own story. Man, it takes courage to do that, especially for the first time, never being published, and you're getting your raw, real stuff out there. But I'll tell you that that's the differentiator. So if I was going to hire a healer or a coach or a therapist and I lined up 100 people all with the same exact experience and credentials, which one am I going to hire? The one who was brave enough to tell me the story that I resonate with. That's the differentiator for those business owners. So Brave Healer and then Productions is because I knew that books were lots of things. They were events and they were networking and they were right. So there's the story of that.
Well, that's a really great story because I think it really ties together the essence of not only what you're trying, your mission and vision, but the folks that you're trying to represent. So kudos to you for sticking to your guns and keeping the 3 words that were in your title and not sort of acquiescing to sometimes we have to trust our gut, right?
Yep, for sure. Thank you.
So one of the things that we do in the guest blog is we ask folks to share 3 words of advice. And I think it would be a wonderful way for you to wrap up our conversation today with our viewing and listening audience by explaining why your 3 words are important. And they are prioritize, feng shui, and collaboration.
Well, prioritize self-care was the whole thing there. And I kind of learned the hard way. So that story goes something like, I hit Q1 of 2025 a little burned out and my health was not in peak performance. And I am a lifelong peak performing athlete. So when I got to that place of realizing, I'm like, all right, people with your oxygen mask first, or like, okay, universe. And I did. I put it on and I decided to say no to a lot of things. And I decided to get back into the gym and I decided to clear my schedule a little bit. I don't want you guys to hit rock bottom before you have to do that. So
Right.
prioritize it now, because if you are not healthy, you can't do anything for anyone else. It has to start here. Is there another way to say this? We've heard it so many times. I don't know, but I'm saying it to you again. So if you're hearing it for the 100th time, maybe this is the time that you'll do
Right.
it.
Right.
Feng Shui, I'm a total geek. Okay. So when I say Feng Shui, I mean inner and outer, right? I mean, you better clear the spaces in your mind for that beautiful, divine wisdom to move through. And if you are having trouble with mind clutter or self sabotaging mindset or thoughts, start there. But also, the room you're sitting in creating every day, it better turn you on. That's my
So
summary of
true.
Feng Shui. Okay.
Yeah. So true.
And collaboration and community, making collaboration and community the way that I lead it just fires me up every single day. Other people buy our stuff. If we don't realize that a community is how we're successful, bummer, you're not going to succeed, So community and
Mhm.
collaboration, collaborate with legacy business partners. It's magic for business building.
That's so true. And I love how you've sort of wrapped up the inner and outer concepts, because if you're absolutely right, if we're not in a place in our mindset that we can make the connection, we can't serve anyone, including ourselves. So it really has to start, in your own heart and home before you can actually share those amazing words with the world. So thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you've given our viewing and listening audience a lot of tidbits of information and a lot of great things to think about. So thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Trish. Awesome.
And to you, our viewing and listening audience, I'd like to thank you for joining us today for this edition of Keeping It Real, introducing you to the person behind the logo. If you'd like to connect with our guest, you'll find Laura Di Franco's contact information in the description portion below. I'm Trish Tonai, author, artist, and the founder and host for the series. And we invite you to share your business story. Just visit our website at shareyourstories.online and subscribe to our channel, Business Mentorship, Keeping It Real. Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to meeting you next time when we share another great idea.